Today, I'm talking about my reverse culture shocks as an American after about 2 years living abroad. If you don't already know, reverse culture shock is the experience or difficulty readjusting to your home culture after living in a different culture for an extended period of time. You can feel disorientation, frustration, or even distress that can arise when returning to a familiar place, but finding it unexpectedly changed or feeling like you no longer fit in. My husband and I didn't know we were experiencing this until a few weeks in. But here's the thing, this isn't just about travel. Everyday people like you and me will agree on most of these observations, or they might completely change how you view your everyday life, even if you've never left your hometown. Just know that these are my opinions, and we don't have to agree on everything, and that's okay. But stick around till the end because I'll share the exact question I started asking myself that made everything click for me. The first thing that hit me when I got back was the overwhelming consumerism. And not just any consumerism, the overwhelming, in-your-face, bigger is better kind of consumerism. Walking into a grocery store felt like stepping into a labyrinth of endless options. Dozens of brands of the same product, flashy packaging, and sales everywhere. It's not that I didn't notice this before, but I think it has to do with the full-time travel that we do. Traveling full-time doesn't allow us to buy whatever we want because our home is in our carry-ons and one check-in bag, but this also made me realize how much we don't need to be happy or fulfilled. It's like America thrives on excessiveness, but now I realize it's not always a good thing. Sometimes less is more. This experience made me think about how much mental energy we spend just navigating all these choices every day. This got me thinking about how choice works in our brains. There's this concept called the paradox of choice that basically says that while having some options is good, having too many can actually make us less happy with our decisions and more stressed about choosing. And here's what's interesting. This isn't just about consumer goods. Adults make roughly 35,000 decisions every single day. That's a mental load we're not even aware we're carrying. And it's not just products. It's careers, places to live, how to spend our time, what to watch, what to wear, who to date. The options just feel endless. But as overwhelming as the consumerism was, it was nothing compared to the social anxiety that came with the next thing. Tipping culture. Tipping culture. If you've ever traveled to a country like Japan where tipping just isn't a thing, you'll know how refreshing it is to not have to deal with it. Coming back, we were immediately thrown back into the awkwardness of figuring out how much to tip and when. Why am I tipping 20% for a coffee I picked up myself? And who decided this? And now there are these screens where 25% is a default option. How do we get here? It's not just the money, it's the mental load of constantly navigating this unspoken social contract. I definitely did miss it, and it made me realize how many of our social interactions in America are actually transactional in nature. I started budgeting tips into my monthly expenses, treating it as a fixed cost rather than a decision point each time. It doesn't change the system, but it does make it less mentally taxing. And better yet, we cooked our meals at home 90% of the time. But the madness doesn't stop there. The next thing I noticed actually affects our freedom in ways we don't even realize. Car culture and lack of walkability. Cars. In Japan, I could walk or take a train pretty much anywhere. The public transportation system is efficient, clean, safe, and reliable. But in the US, it feels like most things revolves around driving. It's frustrating, and honestly, it made me realize how much freedom we have abroad when it comes to transportation. In the US, you spend so much of your time in your car, and it's just honestly exhausting. The car dependency isn't just about convenience. It shapes our communities, our health, and even our social connections. When we have to drive everywhere, you lose those spontaneous neighborhood interactions that create community. But it's not what we saw that changed when we came back, it's what we heard. And the next thing was literally impossible to ignore. Loud environments. America is so loud. I noticed it before, but not to this extent. And definitely after living in Japan, where people are mindful of noise, it's impossible to ignore. Neighbors blasting music till 11 p.m., cars revving their engines at 1 a.m., and people blasting fireworks on a random Friday just so they can break into someone's car. I know this because it happened to my dad's car, parked on the street, unfortunately. This made me think about how we value personal space in America. we tend to think of it in physical terms, but not in terms of sound. In Japan, there's a greater awareness of how your actions, including noise, affect others around you. But the differences in how we share space go beyond just noise, as I experienced with my next reverse culture shock. Dirty public spaces. This one really stood out. Japan is spotless, not because there are more cleaners, but because everyone takes responsibility. If you have trash in Japan, you hold it until you find a bin. Public restrooms, clean. Streets, clean. Coming back to the US, it was heartbreaking to see so much litter and neglect. It's frustrating and honestly embarrassing.
Down into America's trash hole.
This contrast reveals something deeper about cultural values, specifically our sense of collective responsibility versus individual convenience. In Japan, there's a stronger sense that public spaces belong to everyone, so everyone helps maintain them. But as frustrating as littered streets can be, they pale in comparison to the next system, the healthcare system complexity. Healthcare in the US is, well, complicated. After experiencing healthcare abroad, straightforward, affordable system, coming back to the stories of the convoluted mess of insurance, co-pays, and surprise bills felt like stepping back into a nightmare. A friend of mine was transitioning jobs and needed a simple checkup, and just figuring out what was covered, finding an in-network doctor, and understanding the billing was more stressful for her than the appointment itself.
Healthcare, American style.
In Thailand, I could walk into a clinic, get seen, pay a reasonable fee, and leave. No paperwork, no surprise bills weeks later. It's a reminder that our system prioritizes profit over people, and it's one of the hardest things to deal with in the US. This observation fundamentally changed how I think about what we value as a society and what we're willing to accept as normal. This is where Safety Wing comes in for us. If you're someone that travels frequently or lives abroad, you'll need travel insurance. Safety Wing is going to cover you for things like medical emergencies that happen while you're abroad, trip interruptions, and lost luggage. We've been with Safety Wing for the past 2 years. We've traveled and lived abroad, and we highly recommend them. We just like having the peace of mind. The best thing about Safety Wing is that they are available in 180 countries, and you can sign up in a matter of minutes. They offer 2 simple plans. One is the Essential Plan with a great travel insurance for frequent travelers, and the Complete Plan, which is more of a long-term health coverage for expats living abroad. And it is super affordable. Check out Safety Wing today and be sure to use the link in the description below and tell them we sent you. As someone who's worked in the healthcare industry for over 15 years, if you're still dealing with the US healthcare system, this is the best tip I can give you. Get started setting aside a specific healthcare fund and researching all costs before appointments. It doesn't fix the system, but it does make it more manageable on a personal level, so you're not left with a surprise if an emergency does happen. Also, if your employer offers HSA, which is a health savings account contributions, you can use HSA to pay for medical bills. You can use the funds directly to pay for qualified medical expenses, or you can reimburse yourself for expenses you've already paid out of pocket. And speaking of unnecessary complexity, the next thing might seem small, but it adds up to a lot of daily frustration. Prices without taxes included. Why are taxes still not included in prices? In Asia, what you see is what you pay. Simple, right? But in the US, you're constantly doing mental math, and it's such an unnecessary hassle. I remember buying several items and being surprised at checkout because I'd forgotten to account for tax. It's the little things like that that make everyday life feel more complicated than it needs to be. This practice reflects a broader pattern I noticed in America. There's often a gap between what's advertised and what you actually get. Whether it's prices without tax, hidden fees, or fine print, it creates an environment where you always have to be on guard as a consumer. But if you think hidden taxes are strange, wait till you turn on the TV and see what's considered a normal advertising in America. Pharmaceutical commercials. I forgot how bizarre it is to see ads for prescriptions on TV. From my experience in Asia, these don't exist. Have you ever thought about how, despite being high-income countries, the US and New Zealand are the only two countries that allow pharmaceutical companies to directly advertise prescription drugs to the public? The FDA doesn't review prescription drug ads prior to airing, leaving accuracy and compliance in the hands of the drug manufacturer. Most other countries have bans or restrictions on these types of advertising. Here, you've got happy actors frolicking in fields while a voiceover casually lists horrifying side effects. It's surreal and honestly unsettling. I remember watching TV with my family shortly after coming back and being shocked by how normalized these ads were. This observation connects to a broader pattern of medicalization in American culture.
I think they got a pill for that.
The idea that there's a pill for every problem. It also reflects how healthcare is treated as a consumer product rather than the basic right or service. I've become more aware of how advertising influences our perception of health and wellness, and I'm more intentional about researching health information from independent sources rather than commercial ones. Sedentary lifestyles. In Japan, walking is just part of life. In the US, most people drive everywhere and spend so much time sitting, me included. I somehow gained 10 pounds while I was there. I'll take full responsibility, but then again, I do work from home, so I don't have to go anywhere if I don't want to. But I was averaging 10,000 steps a day in Thailand and Japan without even trying, just going about my normal routine. Back in the US, I had to make a conscious effort to even hit 5,000 steps. It's not just about exercise, it's about how movement is integrated into daily life. Coming back, the lack of daily activity was hard to adjust to. This observation made me realize how much our environment shapes our health behaviors. In Japan, the infrastructure supports an active lifestyle. Here, you have to fight against the infrastructure to stay active. But it's not just our physical health that's affected by American culture. Our mental health takes a hit too, as I experience with this next thing. Fast pace and hustle culture. Life in America is fast. Everything is go, go, go. Hustle culture is everywhere. There's this air of constant acquisition and achievement, and it's honestly exhausting. In Asia, life feels more balanced. People work hard, but they also rest and enjoy life. At least that's what it seems like to us. Coming back to the relentless pace was tough. I remember meeting a friend for coffee, and the entire conversation revolved around side hustles and productivity hacks. It felt like we'd forgotten how to just be. This made me question our definition of success. In America, busyness is often worn as a badge of honor. But what's the point of all this productivity if we're not enjoying our lives? But the fast pace isn't just about work. It extends to our roads too. Reckless driving and road rage. Driving in America, California to be exact, road rage, reckless driving, and constant stupidity. In Japan, drivers are calm, patient, and respectful. The difference couldn't be more stark, and it makes me miss the order and safety of Japanese roads. Within our first week back, we witnessed 3 near-car accidents from people running stop signs, red lights, or cutting across multiple lanes, almost T-boning us without signaling.
Keep clear. Very nice.
This reflects a broader cultural difference in how we relate to rules and to each other. In Japan, there's a stronger sense of collective responsibility and consideration of others. In America, individual convenience often takes precedence, even at the cost of safety or courtesy. There's this air of attitude, and I'm speaking for California, I don't know about other states. It's simply, I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do, your feelings. I understand times have changed, and for the worse, if you ask me. You can do everything right on the road and drive as safely as you can, but there'll be some moron around the corner ready to cut you off in more ways than one, and simply, I guess that's just California driving. But the most difficult adjustment of all was the final thing, which fundamentally changed how we move through the world: crime and dishonesty. Lastly, crime. In cities like San Francisco, personally for me, it's hard to feel safe. There's car break-ins, package theft. It's just a normal part of life there. And that's heartbreaking. While out and about in the city, we've experienced car break-ins in real time right in front of us, and that was enough to put me off. Now, don't get me wrong, I love San Francisco and California in general. I actually went to college in San Francisco, and California in general has so many beautiful places, so many things to do. It's just the actions of a few and some bad policies that have really prevented me from going to the city and just feeling safe like I used to before. In Japan, we felt safe everywhere. Even when we slept overnight with our luggage at rest stops, people respected each other's property. This guy once did an experiment of dropping his wallet 50 times in Japan. And guess what happened? Yes. All 50 times, the wallet was returned back to him. Coming back to a culture where that's not the case or that's not the norm was a harsh adjustment. I had to relearn habits like never leaving anything visible in my car and being constantly aware of my surroundings in a way I didn't have to think about abroad. Not only that, but I had 2 instances of my package being stolen in a span of 1 month. Once my neighbor stole my Amazon package. I saw her on camera and I filed a police report on it, but ended up not pressing charges because it was just over $50. Another incident was when another package got delivered to the wrong house 2 houses over. We knew exactly where it was delivered because of the Amazon doorstep photo, so we decided to wait for them to bring over the package. 2 days, 3 days, 4. No one came. We were definitely sitting in La La Land thinking our neighbors would be honest enough to bring us our package. We had walked over their package before and thought the same courtesy would be returned, but not anymore. Times are changing for the worse. To expect someone else to do that, you'd be a fool in the US. This highlights how social trust affects our daily experience. In high trust societies, there's less mental load because you don't have to constantly be on guard. In lower trust environments, the vigilance becomes a part of your daily routine. If you're able to, building stronger connections in your immediate community helps create small pockets of higher trust. Knowing your neighbors and looking out for each other doesn't solve the broader issue, but it does create a more secure, immediate environment. Sadly, I couldn't say the same for mine at this time. The mindset shift. So those are the 12 things that really stood out when we came back to America. But here's a question. What do we do with these observations? How do we process them in a way that's actually helpful rather than just complaining? Remember at the beginning when I mentioned there was a simple mindset shift that made everything click for me? Here it is. I started asking myself one question about everything in my life. Is this a default setting or a conscious choice? That's it. When I looked at how I spent my time, how I defined success, how I approached relationships, even small things like what I ate for breakfast or how I set up my living space, I realized how many of these things were just default settings I'd inherited from my culture, my family, or my past self. And once I could see these defaults clearly, I could make conscious choices about which ones served me and which ones didn't. This isn't about rejecting American culture or thinking Asia has it all figured out. Every country and culture has its own defaults, its own strengths and blind spots. The power comes from being able to see those defaults clearly rather than just accepting them as normal or the way things are. Living abroad gave us that perspective, but you don't have to leave the country to question these defaults. You just need curiosity and the willingness to ask, why do we do things this way? Is there another possibility? For us, this has led to some significant changes in how we live. We've simplified our possessions, prioritized living abroad, created stronger boundaries around work, and been more intentional about building community here online. These choices might look different for you, but the key is that they're conscious choices rather than defaults. If you're interested in examining your own defaults, here are 3 simple questions you can start with. First, what aspects of my daily life cause the most friction or stress? These pain points are often where default settings aren't serving you well. Second, if I were designing my life from scratch, would I include this element? This helps separate what you actually value from what you've accepted. And third, what's one small experiment I could try this week? Change doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. I've created a simple worksheet with these questions and a few others that have helped me. The link is in the description if you'd like to download it. The beauty of this approach is that it works whether you're dealing with reverse culture shock, you're considering a major life change, or just feeling like something in your current life isn't quite right. It's about bringing consciousness to choices we often make on autopilot. Thanks so much for spending this time with me today. Remember, the most powerful changes often start with simply noticing what you've never questioned before. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.